a little cuckoo clock though, and it's doing a fairly decent job. There's the movement. There's our gear train. We'll look at that more in a second. There's the back. There's the date code, 12 December 13th, 1938. Great little movement. Yeah, it's got a pendulum. That escapement is crazy on this thing. Let's have a look at that. Let's see if I can get this a little bit better here so you can see. This is definitely a budget escapement. Look at that. They've just got this flat piece of steel. And they've just got a slot cut in it for each pallet. Or sorry, there is no pallet fork on this thing. What am I talking about? For each escape wheel tooth. Absolutely crazy. Oh, it's such a bizarre design. I've never seen anything like that before. And it probably doesn't exist anywhere else except in the novelty clock world. I wonder how accurate that is. I wonder if that's a very accurate system or not. That's such a weird design though. And yeah, this drum here is all one piece. There's the steel arm that the bird goes on. This is all one piece, as I said. Has its own bushing hole, and it is very, very bizarre. Look at how these teeth are. They're just sliding up against that drum, and then they get caught in that slot, and then get advanced forward. It's functional. It's very weird, though. There's an intermediate gear on the front. There's our cannon pinion. I think this might have to go on further. When I reassembled this, I don't know if I put that on far enough. I'm not quite sure. Either way, let's just stop for a second. I don't know if this thing was having some kind of problem in the world of, you know, something's not quite right and it keeps stopping, or it was just unwound or unwinding, you know, that kind of deal. And yes, that is epoxy. This rivet was loose, and now it is not. That is on the, or that was on the back. Now I think we'll be doing better. And after taking my number 5 hole closing punch here, I was actually able to get the hand on there to the point where you can actually use it. It's the most bizarre. Uh-oh, maybe I spoke too soon here. Oh, it just lost a little bit of grip. Shoot. Well, we're pretty darn close to actually getting this functional in the normal way that you'd think. All right, well, our pendulette is reassembled and running. And what's cooking here now is that this clock likes to run more or less 24 hours. It does stop short of that sometimes, and I'm not entirely sure why. My guess would be possibly maybe a rough pivot or maybe a slightly worn bushing. I'm not entirely sure at the moment, but am I going to pull it apart again just for that? Well, due to our minute hand here, I don't know if I will. I mean, that's pressed on, and it will come off, but getting it back on again with the same tension is kind of a nuisance. And of course, when you were building this clock new, coming out of the box for the first time back in 1938 or 39, you didn't have that problem because, you know, pressing it on for the first time, all you have to do is put it on there. And whether you just put it on there by hand or use a hammer or some kind of punch or something, you know, it wasn't a big deal back in the day. But if any for servicing this thing is, in the terms of servicing it, that is really not fun. And this isn't the first clock I've seen that does this to you, where your minute hand is friction fit, and you have to use it. You have to actually use the tension to set the time on this thing. And if the tension isn't right, then the hand will just fall off. And unfortunately, the other time I've seen that wasn't even a novelty clock either. So I was about to say that was fun to deal with, but I'm still not done dealing with it, so that's awesome. Anyway, I'm not going to be pulling this apart again for that particular reason. When it does need a service again, though, I will pull it apart and actually, you know, go through the whole process again, but I don't want to be pulling this thing apart a ton of times. I don't know about that hand there. And yeah, Again, friction fit hands aren't a problem when they're behind glass or something like that, and you have a proper knob to set the time with. But in the case of this, you have to, again, use your finger to set the time, which requires this to be tight. And oh yeah, it's such a gong show to get this back together properly. So I'm going to be leaving this as it is. It does run 95% of the time. It does do the entire 24-hour runtime of this, which is fine with me. And when it doesn't, well, then I just restart it and call it a day, basically. Again, I don't think it's that huge of a deal. It is a novelty clock, but that doesn't mean I don't want to use it. So that doesn't mean I'm not going to treat it like everything else, where it's in constant use. So anyway, I don't know if this was actually designed to be in constant use. I mean, it is a clock. I would think it would be, though, even if it's in a kid's bedroom. Oh, and I don't know if I've shown this already, but this is the new key that came off of the Piran website there, the Piran Clock Supply House in, I believe it's Toronto. Yeah, I got a new novelty clock key for this, or else I basically couldn't use it at all. And I have it stashed back there on that nail. So, yeah, the original key is long gone for this, which is no surprise. But at least we have a new key that can go with it. And that was like maybe $5 for that key, something like that. It wasn't that expensive. Not that I want to get into the habit of losing keys, but at least Piran was able to hook me up when I kind of needed a key for this particular one. And since it's a novelty clock, it's not just your average key either. So anyway, this thing is fun to watch, though. You can see that bird moving up there. Pendulums swinging. Those weights and chains are decorative, of course. They're just on there on the bottom of that case. Yeah, these are fun little clocks to have, and like I previously stated, this was the very first West clock I ever saw in my entire, well, one of the first anyway. This was, you know, that was long before I had any interest in companies or repairing or anything. I just saw this at somebody's house, actually, who liked antiques, and I thought, wow, that's a really cool little clock. And the difference between that clock and this one was the fact that that one actually said West Clock on the dial, unlike this one. So I'm not sure why only some of these were branded. I don't know. Again, I've never been inside that one, so I don't know what year it was made. It could be later, could be earlier than this too, although I doubt it. I mean, 38 is, you know, it wouldn't, these probably wouldn't be any older than 1935, but I don't know the production dates for this particular one. So anyway, I'll stop. I think I'll end this here, and I can now enjoy this little novelty clock. And it actually is fairly accurate too, which is nice. The pendulum bob is, of course, adjustable, and that is how you adjust the speed on this thing. You move the bob up to speed the clock up, and you move the bob down to slow it down. So no, it's fun, and I enjoy having it around. If I ever do more with this particular novelty clock, I will definitely update you guys, and there'll be some type of video series if I ever decide to pull this thing apart again.